The Krillian Empire had ruled the Andromeda sector for 3,000 years, their crystalline warships cutting through the void like shards of frozen starlight. Emperor Vex Thor sat upon his obsidian throne, confident that no force in the known galaxy could challenge his dominion. That confidence shattered the moment Elsa's vessel appeared on the edge of their space. The ship materialized without warning, no warp signature, no quantum ripple, nothing that their sensors could detect until it was simply there. It was small, barely the size of a Krillian scout ship, but it gleamed with an otherworldly silver that seemed to bend light around it. The hull bore markings in a language that predated even the ancient archives of the Imperial Library. Unidentified vessel. You have entered restricted Krillian space. Commander Zareth transmitted from the flagship Eternal Dominion. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Inside the mysterious ship, Elsa checked her instruments with steady hands. Her dark hair floated slightly in the artificial gravity as she worked the holographic controls. Benny, are the temporal shields holding? The young engineer appeared on her screen from the engine room, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the quantum core. Shields are stable, but if they fire on us, we'll have to jump. The temporal displacement could be catastrophic. I know, Elsa replied, her green eyes reflecting the stars beyond the viewport. But we didn't travel 500 years into the past to run away now. The Krillian fleet began to move into attack formation, 12 warships, each capable of glassing a planet, their weapons powered up, crimson energy building along crystalline arrays. This is your final warning, Zareth's voice crackled with static. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Elsa pressed a single button. What happened next would be recorded in Imperial history as the ignition event, the moment that changed everything. A pulse of pure white energy erupted from Elsa's ship, not as a weapon, but as a message. It washed over the Krillian fleet, harmless but impossible to ignore. Within that pulse was encoded information, star charts, historical records, and a warning. In 500 years, the Krillians would discover an ancient weapon buried in the core of their homeworld. They would activate it, believing it to be a gift from their ancestors. Instead, it would tear a hole in reality itself, allowing something terrible to pour through from another dimension. The Krillian Empire would fall in a single day, and the infection would spread across the galaxy. Elsa and Benny had come from that ruined future, traveling back in time to prevent the catastrophe. But they hadn't expected the Krillians to react with such fear and aggression. They're not powering down, Benny called out. They're charging weapons. Emperor Vexus Thor had seen the message and made his choice. This mysterious vessel knew too much about Krillian secrets. It had to be destroyed, and its technology could not fall into the hands of their enemies. He issued the order without hesitation. 12 warships fired simultaneously. Elsa's hands flew across the controls as Benny routed all power to the temporal shields. The crimson bolts struck the silver vessel, and for a moment, time itself seemed to fracture around it. The ship flickered, existing in multiple moments simultaneously, and then it was gone but not destroyed. It reappeared near the Krillian homeworld, directly above the Imperial Palace. The panic was immediate. Never in their history had an enemy penetrated so deep into their territory. Alarms wailed across the planet as planetary defense systems came online. The Senate convened in emergency session while military fleets from across the sector rushed toward the homeworld. Benny, send the full data packet now, Elsa commanded. Everything we know about the weapon, the excavation site, the dimensional breach, everything. Transmitting on all Krillian frequencies, Benny confirmed, though his voice was tense. But they're not going to believe us. They're going to think this is an elaborate attack. He was right. Within hours, the Krillian Empire had mobilized for total war. They didn't know who had sent this mysterious vessel or what civilization possessed such advanced technology, but they assumed the worst. Ancient enemies were contacted and accused. Neutral sectors were scanned for hidden fleets. The galaxy held its breath as the most powerful empire in known space prepared to strike. The Valerian Confederacy, already suspicious of Krillian expansion, moved their fleets to defensive positions. The Hive colonies saw opportunity in the chaos and began probing attacks on border worlds. The merchant guilds frantically evacuated their trading posts as the great powers positioned themselves for conflict. Aboard her ship, Elsa watched the galaxy ignite with despair in her heart. We came to prevent one catastrophe and started another. Benny joined her on the bridge, floating down from the access tube. Maybe not. Look at the data streams. Some Krillian scientists are actually reading our information. There's a debate happening in their Senate about sending a probe to the excavation site we identified. And there are 20 battle fleets converging on our position, Elsa countered. Even if some believe us, we've made ourselves the most wanted ship in the galaxy. Then we do what we came here to do, Benny said firmly. We go to that excavation site ourselves and destroy the weapon before it can be discovered. If we have to fight our way through every Krillian warship in space, we do it. The future depends on it. Elsa looked at her young companion, barely 20 standard years old, yet carrying the weight of the galaxy's future on his shoulders. They had both volunteered for this one-way mission, knowing they might never return home to the timeline they'd left behind. She smiled grimly. Set course for the Krillian homeworld. Subsurface coordinates. Maximum stealth approach. Maximum stealth. Aye, Benny replied, his fingers dancing across the navigation console. As their vessel vanished once more into the quantum foam, the galaxy erupted into war. But somewhere in the chaos, a handful of Krillian scientists had begun to dig in a different location than history recorded. And in 500 years, their descendants would tell stories of the mysterious humans named Elsa and Benny who had saved the galaxy, though few would believe such tales. The war they ignited would rage for decades, but the catastrophe they prevented would never come to pass. And that made all the difference.